Carlos Alcaraz has sent a clear message to the tennis world: he wants players to earn more. Despite the economic growth of the tour, the Merchant believes that the current distribution of income is unfair and that tennis players should receive a greater share of the profits they generate. In this video, we explain exactly what Alcaraz said, why he thinks the money isn't distributed fairly, and how his voice is joining a movement that could change the future of professional tennis. Tennis is going through a golden age in terms of revenue. Tournaments are selling more tickets, attracting larger audiences, and generating more money from TV rights and sponsorships. However, Carlos Alcaraz isn't dazzled by the shine of today's prize money. In a recent interview with Marca, the world number 2 spoke bluntly: tennis is a well-paid sport, but there's always room for improvement. And he's not saying it out of whim. Currently, professional players receive less than 20% of the total revenue generated by each tournament. For Alcaraz, that percentage is insufficient, especially considering that it's the players themselves who provide the show. If we're the ones putting on the show for the fans to enjoy and pay for tickets, then the percentage should reflect what we deserve, he said. Moreover, the Merchant revealed that this is not an individual claim. That's why we've come together, he stated, hinting at a broader conversation within the professional circuit. The intention is clear: to open a debate between players and tournament organizers to achieve a fairer distribution of the profits. This kind of claim isn't new in sports, but hearing it from a figure like Alcaraz, who is still on the rise and has millions of followers, carries special weight. While prize money at Grand Slams exceeds €1 million for the winner, the reality is that the majority of players, especially those outside the elite, face many financial challenges. Carlos understands this. He knows that tennis is an expensive sport, with many costs like travel, coaches, physiotherapists, and technical staff. That's why, beyond his personal situation, he raises a reflection that could benefit the entire professional tennis community. In his view, if the sport grows in revenue, that growth should also be reflected in those who make it possible, the players. On the court, Alcaraz continues to move forward. After recovering from the disappointment in Miami, he returned to top form in Monte Carlo, where he claimed the title, and is now in the round of 16 at the Barcelona Open. His next opponent will be Serbian Laszlo Djere, a tough player, but the Merchant is determined to keep building confidence on the clay court swing. And while he fights to return to world number 1, he also wants to make his mark off the court, not just by winning titles, but also by driving meaningful changes in the structure of the tour. Alcaraz doesn't settle for living in the shadow of the greats. He wants to define an era, in his own way. And with his own voice. Carlos Alcaraz has opened a key debate in modern tennis, that of income and fairness in economic distribution. His words reflect not only ambition but also an awareness of the value that players hold in this business. While he keeps chasing titles and the number 1 spot, he's also ready to speak up for structural change that benefits the entire tour. Because for Carlos, being the best isn't just about winning on the court. It's also about leaving a legacy off it. Carlos Alcaraz is smiling again. But his return to the top hasn't been easy. In a sincere interview with Marca, the Merchant admitted he hit rock bottom after his loss in Miami. It was a critical moment that made him reconsider everything. The solution? Stop, breathe, and start again. In this video, we tell you about the turning point that saved Alcaraz, how he overcame his worst moment of the season, and why he's recovered the champion version that everyone was expecting. The 2025 season began with high expectations for Carlos Alcaraz, but the results didn't meet them. Unexpected defeats and inconsistent performances pushed him away from the level that once made him world number 1. The biggest blow came in Miami, where he lost in his debut to David Goffin. It was an emotional blow that left him completely unmoored. Hit rock bottom is the best way to describe that moment. A lot of thoughts went through my head, he admitted. That's when, instead of rushing, he decided to stop. One of the best things I did was take a few days off and give myself a chance to think clearly, he explained. That pause was crucial to regaining the balance he had lost. Alcaraz even considered drastic decisions, but chose something simpler and more powerful: disconnecting from tennis. Spending time with his family, stepping away from the pressure, and seeing everything with perspective. That rest helped him remember why he plays, what drives him, and what he wants to build in his career. And from there, he rebuilt his energy and motivation. The result of that reset didn't take long to show. In Monte Carlo, he lifted another Masters 1000 title. His attitude on court was different, more patient, more composed, more relaxed. Though he admitted he didn't play his best tennis, he did show the mindset of a champion, resilient, determined, and focused. And just like that, he became the Alcaraz everyone remembered. In parallel, there was something that weighed on him more than many imagined: the suspension of Jannik Sinner. With the Italian out of competition for 3 months, Alcaraz felt the pressure of having to seize the opportunity to reclaim number 1. But that race against the clock took its toll. Emotionally or indirectly, it affected me, he confessed. Every press conference revolved around the same topic: will he catch him? How many points does he need? That external pressure distracted him, and he admits it was hard to disconnect. But the change came when he stopped looking at the rankings and refocused on the day-to-day, on improving his game and enjoying himself. Valuing what's important, which is the day-to-day, became Alcaraz's new mantra. With that renewed mindset, the Mercian arrived at the Conde de Godó and is already showing clear signs of recovery. The victory over Ethan Quinn was another solid step, and the best part, he enjoyed himself again on court. Carlos Alcaraz went through his darkest moment after the fall in Miami, but turned it into a chance to be reborn. He knew when to stop, reconnect with the essentials, and return to competition with the passion that defines him. Today, his tennis is in the process of rebuilding, but his mindset is already in champion mode. With clay as his ally, Alcaraz is preparing for a stretch of the season in which he aims to reclaim the throne. But this time, at his own pace. Carlos Alcaraz has begun his participation in the Conde de Godó with a win, but his words after the debut were as revealing as his tennis on court. Despite his recent title in Monte Carlo, the Mercian has admitted he needs something more urgently than another trophy: a break. Today we'll tell you why Alcaraz is asking for a pause, how he's experiencing the whirlwind of these past weeks, and what he's doing to reconnect with himself right when the most demanding part of the season begins. Just a few days ago, Carlos Alcaraz was celebrating his biggest success of the season, his first title in Monte Carlo, a Masters 1000 that brought him back into the tennis spotlight. However, that triumph is already behind him. Within 48 hours, the Mercian went from the Monaco stage to the clay of the Real Club de Tenis Barcelona, where he's looking to reclaim the Conde de Godó title, a tournament he has already won twice. His debut was a hard-fought victory against young American Ethan Quinn, but it wasn't all joy. Alcaraz confessed at a press conference that he doesn't feel 100%, physically or mentally. "I need to disconnect, to have time to enjoy myself, that's what matters," he said frankly. After an emotional roller coaster of matches and travel, he feels the need to reconnect with himself. "It's hard not to have time to reconnect," he explained. He arrived in Barcelona straight from Monte Carlo, with no time to adapt or recover. "My family is here. I'll spend time with them," he added, making it clear that what he values most now is being able to slow down, even if just for a few hours. The match against Quinn, far from being easy, was another sign that Alcaraz's body and mind are asking for a break. He had to save a set point, made unusual errors, and at times looked slightly out of rhythm. He himself justified it: the first matches of each tournament are tough, and the conditions here are different. And it's not just the city that changes. The clay does too. Here, the ball gets bigger, it's harder to move it, and the court has more clay. "I feel it's slower," he explained. Adapting is not easy when you come from a tournament with different characteristics and barely any rest time in between. There's also an emotional load. Returning to Barcelona, after missing out in 2024 due to injury, brings a mix of excitement and pressure. "I want to do well, and that extra pressure might make things a bit more complicated," he admitted. The desire to perform well at home can be a double-edged sword, especially when your mental energy is running low. Alcaraz knows what lies ahead: intense weeks in Madrid, Rome, and of course, Roland Garros. That's why his honesty in speaking about his need for rest is as valuable as his talent on court. This isn't about weakness, it's about emotional intelligence. He knows that to give his best, he needs to stop. Even if just for a moment. Carlos Alcaraz has kicked off the Conde de Godó with a win, but his message is clear: success can't be sustained without balance. The Mercian is learning that even at the highest level, caring for the mind and body is just as important as training a backhand or a volley. With his family close and the clay of home beneath his feet, he's not just aiming to win, but to reconnect. Because to keep winning, you first have to know when to stop. Do you think Alcaraz is right to ask for a break? Is it possible to find that balance between competing at the highest level and protecting mental health? Let us know your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to follow every step of the Mercian on this intense clay court swing. See you in the next video.